His name was Masaman, and he was my husband. My name is Brenda, and I live in Bali. I'm the mother of 8 children and have a business. I'm also a midwife and seeker of all truths. My husband noticed some lumps in his groin about maybe 12 years ago, between 10 and 12 years ago, and was told many times to get them checked out, but for whatever reasons he didn't. I was supposed, mostly because they probably didn't really bother him, they were just there. And so he didn't ever get them checked out. And after so many years, maybe about, let's say after maybe 10 years, he noticed some other bumps in other places, in his neck, each side of his neck, stomach, and eventually he did go get it checked out and was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And at that time, I was really sad. And it wasn't even a very clear, accurate diagnosis. It was just something we met with an oncologist because my husband didn't even want to go through all the processes that you are supposed to go through in order to get like a clear diagnosis. So we just like met somebody who, looked at his symptoms and gave him what he would, a very specialized and experienced oncologist who said this is most likely what it is, and for him that was enough. He didn't want to go and get any operations anyways. So I got really serious and read all I could about cancer and natural treatments, natural therapies, alternative therapies, and we did that. Should I go on? Keep going on? And so we did that, and he did really well when he was on it. His lumps went away, he had good energy, he was really happy most of the time, and everything was really good. So while he was doing the natural therapies and alternative therapies, everything was really good. So then at a certain point, I think after maybe 2 years of doing this, we just kind of felt like it was enough. And I felt like maybe for me it was enough because it would completely become like my project to manage. And at some point you realize it's like his thing too. It's like, I don't know if I can continue managing this project for the rest of my life, because I think cancer is something that needs to be managed for the rest of a person's life. So at one point it's got to become his thing. And when it became his thing, he just didn't really want to do anything. So he stopped doing all that, and lumps and everything started coming back again. And eventually he got edema, like full edema from his ankles all the way up to his lungs. His lungs were actually filled with water. And so he couldn't sleep back, completely back. He couldn't walk. It was like really hard for him to walk. But all this time he was so strong that I didn't really understand at all how much it affected him. I don't think I understand. I think as the time goes by, I can see more how hard it was for him. I didn't get that then because he was really trying to hide it and to be strong. So we didn't really see how severely it affected him, or we didn't get it then, how severely it affected him. So anyway, eventually he did, when he finally realized this was serious, he did do his things, what he thought he should do. He did some alternative therapies, ran around doing this, doing that, maybe supernatural things, all kinds of opportunities that came. He thought maybe he had a chance of helping him, and eventually he decided to do chemotherapy. And then that was it. As we often hear, it's like after chemotherapy, it's kind of damages a body to an extent that it's really hard to recover from. So that was it. He died. I don't know, maybe he died from chemotherapy, maybe he died from lymphoma, but whatever it is, in our belief system, your date of death is fated like 50,000 years before the universe even began. So it's really not as much as when you die as to how you die. You want to have a nice death, a peaceful death, a meaningful life, not really what you died from. So I don't even know if I can say he died from lymphoma or if he died from chemotherapy. It was time for him. It was his time. That's what our belief is. He died November 7th, 2016. So it's been November, December, January, February, March, April, 5 months? It's been 5 months. When he initially died, I never really thought that he would, okay, I don't know if I thought that he was going to die or not. I always kind of thought that he would like pull out of it, or you know, is that how you say it? He would pull out of it, that he'd come around, because like I said, he always seemed to be so strong, even to the end. He's like tried so hard to be so strong that I don't think we understand how hard it was for him at that time. So didn't really, or maybe I knew as well, I don't know. I don't know, it's kind of hard to like process in your brain if you knew or you didn't know, but we never had the time when we both agreed. Like we didn't agree, like have this conversation like, okay, you're going to die, because I think we all kind of felt like there was always a chance that he wouldn't. I know I've heard stories that some people, you know, you say, it's like an agreement, everybody knows that this person's going to die, and then it's like they're going to die, but we didn't really ever have that. I always felt like he might come around, and I think I got the impression that I always live as if he might not die. And so then when he did, I think I didn't even realize until they called me from the hospital, and they're like, his blood pressure's dropping, et cetera, et cetera. And so finally I went into the hospital, and that's when maybe I realized that he was really going to die. And because in my faith, which is Islam, we have a way of helping a person pass to the next realm or life, or whatever way we want to talk about it. He had some close friends that were there with him, and I was as well, and so we assisted him in this process. So yeah, it's kind of like midwiferying a person into the next realm. And yeah, we were all sad. I think it's very powerful to see someone actually pass into that next realm. Doesn't matter if you're ready for it or not ready for it. But it's almost like seeing a baby born, too. It's like that magic never happens, and I don't want it. And death isn't necessarily a negative thing that many people have always, or that we often get, you know, fed information that it's such a negative thing. It's just another part of a person's life. That's how we see it. So it's like you're not ushering in a baby to this world, but you're ushering a person from this world into another space. And so how can you do that as peacefully as possible? And so although it's sad because you're going to miss somebody, it's like maybe sadder for us maybe than it is for them, possibly, from what I would understand, you know. There's a sadness to it, but after this happens, there's so much more to live for. It's like not everything is attached to this one person. And so I remember reading a book when I was really young about a couple who had kids, and one kid passed away like in a field trip or something, and their family broke apart, their relationship broke apart, etc. And I always thought, why would this couple, this is just I don't know if it was fiction or nonfiction, but it was maybe a storybook, why would this one couple put aside all of the rest of their life and the rest of their kids for this one person who's already gone? I mean, these people have as much love for who's left on earth and the person who died. So that's kind of what I think I always carried with me from reading this book. So there's really no point to be really sad and regretful. Hopefully you're not regretful, right? I mean, try to live your life without regrets, because I think that was the lesson, the biggest lesson that I learned towards the end of his life. I would have older friends tell me, Brenda, make sure every time you leave him or he leaves, like go somewhere, whatever, that it's in a good state, because you're the one who's going to have to live with his death. So you don't want to live with regrets having not done something or said something that you wanted to, or whatever it was between you and him. You don't want the kids to have regrets. You don't want to have regrets. So any issues you have, resolve them. Anything you want to say them. And every time he's going to go, like maybe he went to Java for medical treatments or something, always make sure that you've done everything that you want to do, so that we're not going to be the ones left with regrets, because that's the hardest part, I think, for the people who are still on Earth or in this realm right now, like dealing with that. And so anyways, to bring it back to after he died, yeah, we're all mean as much to each other as he meant to us, so we continue living our life. We have a life that's, he's either in it or he's not in it, and of course we miss him, and I'm really happy that the kids can go on. We do have pictures of him around sometimes, and like my little 5-year-old, she say, "Oh, there's Papa," when she's playing, and because she sees his picture, and she writes his name, when she's practicing her letters and things, she'll write Papa. Papa is on his Vespa because he always had a Vespa motorbike, and we talk about things that he did, or Dad would have did this, or Dad would have that, and it's just a very natural part of our life. And it's not that we don't miss him, but it's just a fact of life. But he was, I shouldn't say self-centered, let's say he was focusing on himself. Focusing on himself because he was doing all that he could to avoid the death, because, he had a family. And I think that, his family meant so much to him that he felt like he was failing in dying. I think maybe, I don't see it that way, but that's how I feel like he saw it that way, and that's why we didn't ever acknowledge it together. I just always thought he was going to come around, because he's always had such, strength to do so many things. So that's what I thought would happen. And I think for him, it just became a very focused, he had to focus on himself for such a long time. And in the end, it was in the end. He had to do what he had to do. Okay. He passed away 5 months ago, and it's been a better journey than I expected. I thought it would be a lot harder, but much to my delight doesn't seem the right word, but it's actually like having a new chapter in life, and a better chapter than I even expected. Hasn't been nearly as difficult to adjust than I imagined for myself nor for the children, and I'm happy about that. There were times when I did ask people, is it okay for me to feel okay? Because I thought that I should be feeling worse than I was feeling. Could
you say that line again?
There have been times when I have asked many people if it's okay to feel okay, because I was uncertain, felt guilty because I actually didn't feel so bad and so traumatized and so grief-stricken, actually okay. So I had to get, other people's opinions on that. I wasn't certain of myself whether that was okay, but I think that's really due to our belief, our strong belief, and our daily acknowledgement of death that can happen at any time. It's very much of our practice in our daily life that we're very aware of death, and so you try to live life at its fullest all the time. And that's what really has helped us get on with life and not just being stuck at his death. Support, definitely support in my community and in my belief. Absolute support. Because we have like I mentioned beforehand, we have a very clear understanding that a person's death is fated. Fated, is that how you say it? It's fate. It's been written, and there's certain key points in that person's life that have already been predetermined, and so it's when it's your time, it's your time. how you go is, the question. We would like to go in a respectful way, not to, not in a shocking way, not in a surprising way. It's really nice to be able to have a chance to say goodbye and to realize that it's coming to an end. I think that's a much more easier way to pass, maybe. And so having this belief has definitely supported us. And the fact that we believe that prayers can support a person in their afterlife empowers us, feels like we can do something for him even though he's passed, by praying for him at every opportunity. That gives a lot of comfort and support. And of course, in our community and in our family. But I think mostly the fact that we believe that we in our faith, the prayers for the deceased is basically like all they have and their good deeds. And so the fact that we can pray for them and it will affect their state is like, what is more comfortable than that? It's something that you can actively do every day or every moment. Yeah, like I said, it's a new chapter, and it's a better chapter than I had hoped for or expected. But definitely not having a male or a masculine counterpart is definitely there are good parts to it and there are difficult parts to it. So, having to be everything to them is hard. And then, on the other hand, missing somebody, and then how's it changed our lives? It really, honestly, it hasn't changed a lot. It's just that you have a missing factor, and then a little bit, of missing that masculine side of a feminine masculine balance that you have in a family. That's mostly what it is. But I think in general, hasn't changed everything a lot, because we each have our own lives, and none of them are dependent upon anybody. I mean, I think that would be, if whenever I pass away, I would hope that my children are not grief-stricken and can't go on with their life and etc., because I would like them each to have their own lives and contribute as much as I can to their lives now that I can, but because we all understand that we're doing the best that we can every moment. And so when somebody does pass away, well then, it's like we're thankful that we did what we could, that we took the opportunities we could during the lifetime, and be grateful for that. So we definitely are more aware of the fact, that death is a fact of life, and it just becomes part of your, like your new normal, a new reality. It's just your new normal, I suppose. Kind of like after you're giving a birth, you have your new normal. Your body never goes back or your life never goes back, or your body, into the exact same shape or form that it was before you have a birth. You have a new normal, and I think it's the same way when someone dies. You just have a new normal. The best advice that I could give to a woman who's just lost her partner is to not forget herself, to take care of herself in whatever ways she feels is necessary for her to be at her best, because we do need to be there for the kids. And it's not that you need to be there all the time, involved in all of their activities, but when they want you to be there, I want to be there in the best shape and form that I can be. So, do self-development classes, or any, health, whatever. I do acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine, whatever it is that you need to keep yourself strong and centered and be the best you can for your kids. Yeah, don't forget to do that. Take care of yourself.